Commissioner Smith,
Present.
Committee Member Grover, here. Committee Member Flicker,
Here.
Committee Member Castro,
Here.
Committee Member Seychow,
Here.
Committee Member Terry,
Here.
Committee Member Malone, Committee Member Quintel, Committee Member Goodson.
All right. Let's stand and pledge.
Oh, it's close.
Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, do we have any public communication?
Mr. Chairperson, I have not received any communications for this meeting.
Right. So the first order of business is to approve the minutes. Is any questions? No? All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
We have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second.
We can do an ayes and nays if you want, because we have more than, because Kay's down there.
Okay, so let's just do a verbal roll.
Committee Member Smith,
Yes?
Committee Member Grover,
Yes.
Committee Member Flicker,
Yes.
Committee Member Castro,
Yes.
Committee Member Seychow,
Yes.
Committee Member Terry.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, second item business is the update on revenue and expenses for Measure U district tax.
Good evening, Oversight Committee members. So last time we met in August, I did give out a fiscal year end up to that point, but it was the 24th of August, and we go all the way through August to accrue expenditures and revenues for the prior year. So I'm giving it to you again because there was a little bit of changes. So this is the final year-end analysis. We ended the year with a $383,000 surplus. It was a crazy year. As you can see, we budgeted way lower than what we actually got. We got $7.3 million in revenue. And I just had a meeting with our sales tax consultant today, and he definitely says we are in a bubble compared to other places he sees, and they really had a lot of declines, and we just haven't. We had very strong sales tax revenue through the whole pandemic. So kind of makes you wonder if we didn't have a pandemic, how high it would have been, because I'm sure it's lower than it would have been had there not been a pandemic. But anyway, we're unaffected and we have strong revenues. We didn't budget for all that, so it's expected to have a surplus. And a new thing that I added to the sheet was the fund balance, so that you could follow along and know what exactly is in that fund. So we started the year with $4.4 million, and with this surplus, we are now almost $5 million in this fund. And I know that we need to spend it, but it was just a crazy budgeting year. You know, who could know that we were going to have the revenues? So we were very conservative, and I'm glad we were. But now we have starting to accumulate some money in this fund, and so we'll have to consider that when we do our budget next budget cycle. So yes, I did, and I have our HR manager on standby. She was going to come and talk to you about the problems that we're having, recruiting and retaining and finding people to work here. So if it's okay, do you want to run and get her? Okay. So I did a line-by-line item extraction out of the computer, and it's salaries and wages that are the huge savings. I think I just did it, so we're going to work on this year too. So I gave you the first quarter of 2021-22. And we're starting out for the first 3 months way under the expenditures that were budgeted. So for code enforcement, we had budgeted 181 just for salaries and wages, and we are barely at 18,000 for the first 3 months. So across the board, it is salaries and wages that are causing these savings. So I asked our HR manager, Liz Ehrenstrom, to talk to you a little bit about the problems and challenges we're having in staffing.
Good evening, everybody.
Liz, just real quick, I was just going to ask, one thing I think would be helpful along with this would be what our current staffing levels are, especially in these, various services, fire, police, that type of thing.
So I did bring the budget. So it's in our annual budget. I did bring a copy so that I could answer questions regarding that, but I can make that available to everybody.
But just a snapshot. In other words, I know we
Yeah,
have
it's
open
just-
positions
it's
so
just
that
this
aren't
spot
fulfilled
right
just
here.
because people, like everyone else, were struggling.
Everybody in this state
Yeah.
is having a problem hiring people. I think across the nation, actually.
But it would just be good for us to see that it's not that we're not willing to spend the money, it's just that we don't have people stepping up.
Correct.
Yeah.
We're advertising, we're recruiting all the time, and we're just not getting the applications in that we have seen in the past. And again, this isn't just us. Everybody is scrambling, especially for police officers. We're getting as many leaving as we were getting coming through the door, and it's been very difficult. Fire, I know that we're getting ready to hire, I believe, 3, because we've had 3 leaving recently, and so they've been in backgrounds. They're in their final phase, so we should be putting them on pretty soon. Police, though, we just have not been able to get them through the door like we have in the past. We have all sorts of agencies pilfering from us. As a matter of fact, Chico States, has about 5 of our employees right now. Who wouldn't want to go work at a college and have those hours and ride around on campus. But those are our main problems is police. We are filling up our parks and public works. We are getting people in the office, but we are really lacking in the police department for sure. Code enforcement, we have a couple. We have a couple more coming from PD as soon as they can find dispatchers to relieve them. We are going to advertise. I'm not having problems getting applications for that position. So we're good there.
Is our problem with law enforcement, is that just lack of competitive salaries, or is it?
I think it's, for one, how people perceive police right now and everything that's going on. You're not seeing people going through the academies like they were. They don't want this profession. They're being attacked. So you see a lot of these people retiring out and nobody coming to backfill them. They're just, who wants to take that on? They're angry people out there wanting to attack them just for doing their job. And so you're not seeing people come in and applying for those positions. And the ones we do, I mean, we've sent several through the academy, but, the last ones, we've sent 3 through the academy. They didn't even stay 2 years with us. And they're off, these other agencies are offering hiring bonuses, $20,000, $25,000 for these people to jump ship and go, and they're jumping for these bonuses, signing bonuses. I don't think that's the way to go myself. But
I'm seeing a lot of private security at businesses and around town, and it is being talked about groups, neighborhoods getting together and hiring their own private security. Is there some way we could supplement actual armed police officers with more of the municipal law enforcement people or night watchmen? I have no idea what it looks like, or if we're even physically, legally able to do it.
I mean, there are private police departments where you could and contract with somebody like that. I heard about those down in Arizona. I'm not sure if there's any here in California that do that. You may see that as an up and coming.
I'm not talking specifically about a private police department. I'm talking about a private security, and they are armed. The security person at Bank of America is private and armed. Again, I have no idea how it works, but as an interim stopgap, have we looked at an opportunity there?
Hiring a security guard?
Yeah, absolutely. Hire someone to walk through our parks and
Well,
our
if you would think if
museums
they were
and-
carrying a gun with a bank and we're advertising for police officers, if they wanted something like that, you would think they would come and apply with us. They're probably getting a better deal where they're at. And I don't know, maybe you increase salaries for PD, entice them. I don't think the bonuses, the signing bonuses work. We had also kicked around maybe an idea of giving officers, if they recruited somebody in, some sort of stipend for that, an award for getting somebody in the door and, lasting 6 months or more. But
One of the things I think is going to help tremendously is when we get a new chief of police, because that person sets that bar and, establishes.
I think
hopeful.
you have agencies across the state that have great chiefs in them, and they're having the same problems. I don't think that's going to be your catch-all. You might have other ideas or, strategies.
Right.
But everybody is struggling.
Sure. I guess what I'm saying is that individual is going to come with a vision and ideas, and then, that person needs to have that latitude to deploy, to put those efforts forward, work with this committee,
Sure.
that kind of a thing. So we're just holding our breath, and hopefully soon we're going to be able to, hire that individual. So that's not that we wait, but I'm just hopeful that will make a big difference.
Well, I hope it makes a big difference, too.
Yeah. All we can do is
Yep.
hope.
Thank you,
So
Liz.
I just have one more quick question. So if everyone is in the same boat, you're saying nationally, how are they hiring and protecting their cities? And how are they continuing to, what other options out of the box thinking are they using?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have no idea. And it's getting worse every day. It's getting
Yeah.
worse every day, so.
We've been pretty blessed, actually pretty fortunate as a community. We have
Yes.
not had big, like you look in some of these other larger cities.
Vocalize that.
Right, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Right, knock on wood. But, I'm just hopeful that we can get that new chief, and he can set a vision, and, we can turn this corner, and he'll bring some fresh ideas. He or she will bring some fresh ideas. So.
And I know that's in closed door, but do we have an update on when in that process and where we are and when we can expect that process?
From what I hear, they're still recruiting.
It's
I think
very
it closes
active
at the
issue.
end of this month or end of December, I
Okay.
believe.
And I would have to say this, not to speak for the entire council, but we are, as a group, collaboratively working diligently on this issue. We are together. We all recognize the tremendous need, and there is not, any internal delays as far as that body working together to achieve that objective. I think that's a pretty fair assessment.
Okay.
So.
Thanks again, Liz.
Anything else? All right.
So while you were talking, I brought up the funding that these are the actual positions that we did put in this fund. So we have 26 and a half. Sorry, the headings aren't on here, but the furthest column on the right is the final amount of staff positions that we have in this budget is 26.5. So you can see that there's 3 for the fire department, 7 for the police department, and then several others. But you can see that we tried to put these positions in the budget, and I think that's why we're falling short, is they just aren't filled. So if you want to go ahead and move on to the first quarter of the new year, you can see that our first month of revenue was September, and it was 100,000 more than it was last year. So it continues to go up. I was cautioned today in my phone call with the sales tax consultant that it should be leveling off. I think we had somewhere in the range of well, we talked about so many different numbers in the county pool, but we were up maybe 14% from last year, but that should level off. And so in future budgeting, maybe we should only budget maybe 3% or something. So you're not going to see increases like this going forward. I think we're going to level out really soon. And for expenditures, I tried to do the percentage. Last time I gave it to you on the last line. I tried to do it by department this time so you could see that our target would be 25%. That's where we are in the year. And administration comes very close at 21. And the janitorial, 12. Planning department was only 3%. Code enforcement was only 11, and our target was 25. Public Works, however, we did manage to get 45% of our budget spent already, and we're going to have to look at that. Streets and storm drains, 2%. Parks and Trees, 10%. So it looks like our expenditures are moving along very slowly again this year. So it might be something we'll have to look at next quarter and continue to monitor. I mean, I looked at the line by line. Jackie, if you want to put that up.
No, while you're waiting on that, just anecdotally coming from the business community, I think there is a slowdown. I think we're going to see, it start to soften. Just talking to some of the managers and the major retailers, on a personal note, that it's definitely softening. And plus, we had all that upfront stimulus money.
Yeah.
Pumping a lot of dollars into the economy. So I think we are going to see this, soften quite a bit, actually, this next year.
So these are all the lines that go behind the summary page that I give you. So you can see that the very first line is salaries and wages. Across all the departments, it's very low. We have salaries, 53,000, and we've only spent 10 in that, but it gets to be quite noticeable with the police and fire and code enforcement. I don't have my mouse, so I'm using my finger. So there's fire. We budgeted almost 200,000 in salaries and wages, and we're just under 12. And police, we budgeted almost $500,000, and we're at 32. Another big one on the streets and storm drains, why that one might be so low, only at 2%, is we did budget for $1.5 million to fix our roads. And that's probably not going to start till the spring. So that's going to be way under until we can get started in the spring, and hopefully they can finish by year end in June. But their calendar for streets projects are kind of like crossing budget years. They might start in the spring and end in the fall. So that's something that we have to work around. That's a challenge. But that's a lot of the reason why the streets one is so under. So you'll see that one pick up by the end of the year. So we started the year at almost $5 million, and the fund now has $5.2 million. So I kind of added that so you can follow along what is actually in the fund instead of just hearing what the revenues and expenses are. This is actually tied to the computer system. This is what is in there right as of the end of September. So with that, are there any questions?
What kind of, this is kind of a dumb question. Well, I don't know. I remember last year going into this when COVID was coming on, Ruth, you and I actually talked about the concern that what it was going to do to us. And nobody could see what happened.
Nobody could, yeah.
As Eric just said, a slowdown is probably coming. Mm-hmm. Sadly enough, I think that slowdown is man-made. If we could get our government to quit paying people to stay home, we might actually see some people go to work and see the economy take off again. Mm-hmm. What kind of effect do you even anticipate? You certainly do have to kind of plan for it. What kind of effect do you anticipate for that?
I definitely think that we are in a bubble. I think our sales taxes revenue will remain strong, but at the same time, we've always been, for years, we've been talking about the next downturn, when is that coming? And it really hasn't come to us yet. So that's really scary that if, it does happen. But I really feel like we're doing such a good job with our reserves and our fund balance that we are going to be prepared for something like that. I'm not sure if all of you know, but in November we issued pension obligation bonds. So we sent a check of over $17 million to CalPERS. So that's really going to help the general fund. If you look at the graph on our payments to CalPERS, they were like this. The pension bonds should be something more of a flat line that we can budget for and adjust to. But, you know, all of that is an estimate because you don't know how they're going to do on their investment returns. And then they drop the discount rate. So it's impossible to really know what that's going to do. But we feel good. We got an interest rate of 3.2, which is good because they're charging us 6.8. But the day before it was 2.9. So it's like, dang, we missed. That was kind of took away from our celebrating at 3.2, but it's still good. We feel good about it. But I think to answer your question, I think we always have to be worried about the next downturn and make sure that we have reserves and fund balance to address any downturn, any emergency, unforeseen events. I think we're doing really good. When we went through our rating presentation with the bond council, they said part of what they really liked about our city, we went up three
Ratings.
three ratings, and they said part of that was they were really impressed with our reserves. They said we had great reserves, and we went up against 3 other cities, and we by far did the best. And that was because of the rating we got. And of course, Bill's a good talker, and he had them all wanting to move to Oroville. But it was a fun exercise that we went through, and we feel like we did a good job. And they liked what they saw, and they gave us a good credit rating. So
I'm really amazed to not see even a downturn in the last part because with the lake shutting down, there was no recreation on the lake. The lake was closed, and that's a huge part of our revenue, or so it would seem. Mm-hmm. But this doesn't reflect it.
Yeah, no, and one might think that all the people that flocked to Walmart and Home Depot, but it was actually Home Depot that outperformed Walmart. They were doing home projects like you would not believe. They did really well. And I noticed this quarter it went down a little, so some people went back to work.
The manager was talking to me about that, so she's seen a definite.
Yeah.
And plus, they're not getting $60 a sheet for OSB. That's down to 18 something now. So,
Wow.
you know. So if you have any home improvement projects, now's the time to buy sheeting.
Good. Yeah. So all in all, I feel good about where we're at, and definitely we're going to watch for future downturns. If nothing else, we're going to be planning right now for a leveling off of everything.
And just a comment on the lake, actually, because of the 3 bodies of water that we have filled here, Afterbay, Forebay, Middle Forebay, recreation, ironically, in just analyzing this, we actually have a higher visitor count in the SRA, State Recreational Area, for Oroville in these lower bodies than at the lake itself. So when you, which I've been doing, drilling down into the numbers and actually looking at those analytics, and it's significantly more. So the lake, ironically, you would think, contributes to commerce. Not so much. What really drives it is these other bodies of water, and Oroville had full lakes as opposed to other parts of the state, which did not. So people were coming here. So that's the kind of the untold story for Oroville. While other areas suffered during times of drought, we have these 3 bodies of water that remain full and continue. In fact, that's a piece that I'm working on in development of marketing for our community, that we always have full bodies of water even when the rest of the state does not. So, I mean, that's just a little bit of information there on that part. So, yeah.
Are there any other questions?
I have a question, and I
Sure.
know I've asked before, and I'm sorry if I'm repetitive. Do we get any sales tax from any Amazon?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And online sales, the district tax comes directly to us, and the rest of it goes to the county pool. And he was talking to me today about how that's going to be changing. So we're doing better in the district tax than we were doing on the online. The regular online sales to the county pool. So there was something he was saying that that's probably going to go down.
But that's not included in these reports.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, they are.
Oh, yeah. Online sales, the county pool, yep, they're in there.
Yeah, a lot of times if you look at your receipt on your online purchase, you'll actually see county, you'll actually see a breakout
Yeah.
on that, so.
We do have a breakout, and he gives us our top 100 performers. And so the top 100 performers in the city of Oroville are 80% of our total sales tax. So it's like a lot of the smaller ones that are below that list don't really impact us that much. So he was saying there was a big drop in our business to business, and it didn't really affect us much because it wasn't very much in sales. So yeah, we're very protected with our top, even our top 25, we're pretty stable. And I'm not sure, I can ask him, but I don't think that's information I can share.
Just curious.
Yeah, I can find out though. But we get a list of everybody that, and we had kind of a blip up, and he thought that was probably because when they allowed businesses to delay their sales tax remittance, and then all of a sudden it had to come in that quarter. So we did see a bump there. It's very heavily analyzed and well thought out. We have a good team behind us.
I know that this is a very high-level committee, and I'm always micromanaging it, but hear me out for a minute. A lot of you I see in the community who are on this commission, and we really are listening to people, and we do have our boots to the ground on what people are saying and thinking, especially in the historic district and our downtown, our core, I don't want to say core, but in the downtown historic district. And there are a lot of emails and texting, and especially emails actually going to publicopinion.org to the group with a lot of ideas on safety and for our parks, our museums, our downtown. I know we've already gone through our little sticky thing exercise and we identified everything. Is it possible at all to where would we go with the feedback from the community on some ideas? And there's some really good ones out there that in alleviation of not having enough police force, or exactly what Eric was saying. I agree 100% that the SRA is huge for our area, as well as this river corridor could be as well. So where do we go? Where can I tell these people that we're working on some of these things other than next year's budget sticky note exercise?
Yeah, that's a good question because it has to get to the council. They're the ones that make the decisions. So I would probably start with the executive committee members.
Okay.
And give your ideas to them so that when they meet, they could maybe incorporate it in the budget, or,
Or if it's already in the budget,
yeah.
how can we spend it in a way that's maybe not, and again, I know I'm getting too detailed, but that gives me a great start. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start having them go to the executive council.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? We don't have a date set for the next meeting.
I believe, which we haven't approved the calendar for 2022 yet at the council level, but if we follow the calendar that we've been following, it will be the 4th Tuesday in February. And I can look that up.
Okay.
This will be the 22nd of February.
Okay. All right. Super. All right. With that, we're going to adjourn until 22nd of February, 2022, and we adjourn this meeting at 6:47. Thank you, and I apologize again for my tardiness. Appreciate your patience.
Oh, thank you for coming.